This video is made possible by the following sponsors. Make sure to check out their products as well as the rest of my gear in the description below. Hey guys, Jamble Wangleborg here, and welcome back to another video. Now, a couple of days ago, I made a video on 5 things that I would have liked Codemasters to change before the release of F1 2018. Now, seeing that today is actually the release day of F1 2018, and I'm very much a man of balance, I thought it would be a nice idea to put together another list, but this time with 5 things that I very much enjoy about F1 2018. Just before we get going, a couple of things. Firstly, the background footage you're seeing is me driving a What's the Point Force India around Spa, because that's relevant right now. And secondly, to acknowledge that there has been a lot of F1 2018 content on the channel recently. I like to think that my channel is more known for being diverse than just about one game, of course, but I wanted to finish off my critical analysis, I guess, of this game with this second video and hopefully help you guys decide whether you want to buy it or not now that it's been released. So introductions over, let's get into our first point. And the first thing that I like very much about F1 2018 is the handling changes made to the game from F1 2017. Of course, as a sim racing twat, having good handling in the game is super important. It's crucial that the car makes sense and that it reacts in the way I expect it to the inputs I put into my wheels and pedals. There's no point having a game where nothing makes sense. In F1 2017, the cars handled fairly well, definitely an improvement on the title beforehand, until you got to a certain amount of load on the tyres. Once this invisible limit was reached, the cars would start to have that dreaded 4-wheel lateral slide, and that often meant you lost time, or in my case often you lose position as well. But I'm glad to say that this is nearly 100% fixed for the new F1 2018 title, and I say nearly because I have felt hints of it sometimes in the steering. And this means that, in my opinion of course, the cars handle a lot more realistically. Now, realism is almost a subjective term from me because I've not driven a real-life F1 car, neither will I ever have the ability to drive a real-life F1 car, let alone the opportunity. So my idea of realism is based on what drivers have said about driving cars, about how they look when they're going round, from onboards, etc., things like that. And in that aspect, these cars are very much definitely moving towards the realistic side of things, rather than the arcade style that the game series started with back in 2010. And I'll answer the question that I've been asked many times as to whether this is a full hardcore sim, and I'd have to say no. But it's closer than it ever has been to being one, which is really nice progress to see. Next up is tyres, which does tie into the first point of course, but I wanted to make this separate because of the improvement that has been made over the last game. So the big plus about tyres is that you actually have to look after them now and take care of them. It used to be that camber in F1 games was a cornering versus straight line switch. Massive amounts of negative camber would give you increased cornering speed, but in F1 2018 it wouldn't give you the obvious drawback of increased tyre wear. So in my first race of F1 2018 I cranked up the negative camber on the front tyres as I would in the previous title, and by the time I was about midway through a tyre stint, I started to realise that I was really struggling with corner entry, just losing a lot of time through understeer, and my lap times in general were really suffering. I then took a peek at the tyre temperature gauge and realised that I was massively overheating the front tyres, which was pretty much down to me having that amount of camber and driving the car hard. Of course, during the race itself I was pretty annoyed that I had got to that point and sort of ruined that set of tyres by driving like a complete pleb. But my inner sim nerd, was super happy that now this is actually a thing in F1. The new tyre carcass update that Codemasters really pushed in their marketing campaign seems to reward drivers who are softer and know how to manage their tyres, which is, more importantly, realistic to actual F1. Hopefully the end result for people like me who do the full distance races is that we'll see strategy coming into play. You can't push the entire way. And it might even mean that when we get round to the next batch of F1 esports, we'll see a bit of strategy in there too. So, all in all, a good update in my mind. Number 3 is a small update, but something that I'm very much appreciative of, and that is that you now have the ability to spin turn the car. As I said, it's a rather small thing, but it's a sign of a great improvement in terms of physics. For those who don't know, a spin turn is when you yeet the throttle from a standstill to turn the car around quickly at the expense of tyre life. It's something you tend to do when you make a mistake and you find yourself pointing the wrong way. Imagine a half donut and you're pretty much there. In the last game, you couldn't physically do this. I'm going to try and find some footage to put on screen to sort of show you what happens when you try and do a spin turn. in F1 2017. Usually you just end up going forward and ramming the wall you're trying to get away from. In the last game, that sort of suggested either a bad differential model or a bad tyre model, but regardless, it's great to see Cody's make these small improvements, because as I said in my last video, it's those small things that make a game great instead of it just being good. Number 4 is the ability to turn off the Halo center pillar. Ah, the Halo, my favourite talking point in F1. Oh wait, no, not at all. We all have our own opinions on the Halo. I even have a couple of videos about it on the channel. But us single screen peasants collectively cringed when we found out that it would be included in the F1 games. The problem with having a Halo included on the single screen is that we are denied the 3D effect, which makes the Halo usable in real life. If you're having a hard time imagining what I mean when I say that, take your index finger and move it to the centre of your line of sight. With both eyes open, you're seeing in 3D, and it becomes somewhat transparent in your vision, allowing you to see around it. Now close one of your eyes, you're now seeing in 2D, move your finger back to the centre of your vision, and you'll now notice you're no longer able to see around it. It becomes opaque. Now you're seeing the problem with having an opaque structure on a single monitor. Luckily for us single screen boys, which is the majority of course of the F1 user base I think, Codemasters included an option to turn off the center pillar, meaning that we get the Halo and also get to see at the same time, which is a double thumbs up I think both from me and from F1 as well, who would have been putting a lot of pressure on Codemasters to include the Halo in the game. Number 5 is the graphics update. Now of course it is always nice to have a prettier looking game, and though there isn't a night and day difference between this and 2017, the graphics in general, they look sharper and they just do a better job of keeping us immersed, especially in the rain. Particular attention has been paid to the key character models, so now only 50% of them look like potatoes instead of the 100% potato ratio from F1 2017. Graphical improvements of course usually mean we have a little bit of a performance hit, but it does seem that Cody's have done a good job of squeezing out that last little bit of graphical fidelity whilst keeping the game stable at a solid 60 FPS. For the most part. This video pretty much rounds off my F1 2018 early access content, so I think I'll answer the question now as to whether this game is worth your money. Would I recommend it? I'd say that if you very much enjoyed F1 2017 and you want the same experience with a few extra bits added in, then F1 2018 is pretty much worth your money. Go and buy it, you'll enjoy it. But if you are new to the franchise and maybe don't really play racing games that often, I'd say wait for it to go on sale. I don't think it's worth the full asking price of about £40–45 you'll get in game stores. I think it's a more fair price would be around £20 or £25. For that price, 100% worth the money, go and get it, but for now, I'd say hold off. So guys, that is the end of the video. I very much hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it or found it informative in any way, then please think about hitting the like button. And if you really enjoyed it and want to see more content like this, hit the sub button, hit the bell notification icon, because that way you'll be notified of future streams and videos and you won't miss a thing. Thank you very much as always to my YouTube sponsors and my patrons. You guys keep this channel running. Take care, have an awesome day. I'll see you all next time.
Raikkonen's in first place. Okay, gap ahead is 1.7 seconds. Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.